Welcome to the GfK seminar, part of WorldDAB's virtual conference day. My name is Max, and over the next few minutes, I'll be talking to you about the sales of digital radios across Europe. If you haven't heard of GfK, we are a large multinational research organization, and the data I'm going to be showing you today forms part of our point of sales business, where retailers send their sales data into GfK, we aggregate it, and then report it back to the market at product category level. We do this for a wide number of countries and for around 250 different product categories, most of which are based around tech products and appliances for your home and garden, often known as durables or technical consumer goods. Now that's out of the way, let's start off by looking at how sales have progressed over the last year. And here I'm looking at 12 months to June this year compared to the same 12 months to June 2019. Just as a reminder, this is across 12 European countries and value figures are given in euros. On the left, in volume, we see pretty much a flat market, with just short of 3.8 million units being sold, with a marginal increase year on year. But in value, we see a slightly steeper decline to the tune of 0.5%, but the market is still worth over 450 million euros. And that value decline, of course, coming from a drop in average selling price across all DAB devices, now at 121 euros. And remember, our average prices are what the consumer pays at the till, so including any VAT or similar local taxes. We're able to look at just how the annual total is made up. So what I've done here is split out the individual product categories, all of which have a DAB tuner in them. The long-term trend, if we go back several years, is that the largest growth has come from audio home systems with DAB radios inside. But over the last couple of years, the trend has been relatively flat. What has remained fairly constant, however, particularly in volume on the left-hand side of the screen, is that portable radios, circled in yellow, make up the lion's share of sales, accounting for 1.9 million units over the last year, out of a total of 3.8 million DAB devices sold. The other categories on this page, amps and tuners, are relatively small, clock or bedside radios, and the older radio boomboxes in brown and green even show a little growth from last year. In-car audio, so this represents aftermarket DAB radios and adapters, is pretty stable too. And one reason for this will be the growing amount of new vehicles that have had DAB fitted as standard. Looking at the same data, this time from a top-down country view, we can see the movers and shakers over the last 12 months. And there are a few things to pull out here for this slide. Firstly, let's look at the two dominant countries, Great Britain in green and Germany in yellow. Both countries are declining in value on the right, but Germany is showing an ever so slight volume increase on the left-hand side. You can see the relative growths and declines for the other European countries, but of note, the best performer, Italy, shows triple-digit growth in both volume and value. When checking with my local market in Italy, he puts this down to a fixed date for digital switchover in Italy for 2021, with brands beginning to update their product ranges, as well as compulsory DAB products in new vehicles, spurring consumers on to purchase other DAB radios for their home. Now, if I was to list the number one topic my colleagues and I have been asked over the last 6 months, it would be how sales patterns have changed from being online and offline to being almost entirely online for short periods of time this year. Here in GB, we saw quite a severe lockdown earlier in the year, with only supermarkets allowed to trade in the offline space. This, of course, had a huge effect on the share that online took across all the categories we track here at GfK. This slide, though, looking again at EU12 on the left, shows the annual trend for online versus offline purchasing. And just to clarify, we track where the purchase takes place. So often a click and collect sale, which is really a reservation, will get treated as an offline sale, as that is ultimately where the cash changes hands. Needless to say, of course, that as we progress through the year, and here I'm talking about smaller pie charts on the right, you can see just how quickly online sales patterns changed, from being just over a quarter of all value in January to just over 60% in April. What we have noticed, and this is not limited to the audio markets, is that the online share even now has not returned to where it was right at the start of the year, and we don't really expect it to. With so much investment and innovation forced upon retailers, and us, the consumers, even more used to ordering online, we do not foresee that channel will return to its old levels. Now, I did mention GB in Germany before, so just to give you an idea, in GB in April, we saw almost 89% of DAB value sales occurring online, way above the EU12 average. In Germany, just to compare, it was lower than the EU average at around 57%. What positives can we take out from the recent turbulent times? Well, we can see here, and I'll explain this in stages, that audio has survived the storm in some ways rather well. Here, I'm looking at a number of different audio and video products, this time just at total category level and not filtered for DAB. These lines represent the unweighted distribution of the category. In other words, a measurement of the number of shops selling the category for every month back to January 2018, and converted into a percentage so we can compare them alongside each other. As you might expect, there is a very noticeable dip in April this year, as lots of retailers adjusted to the impact of the virus. But the category that remained the most available to consumers was radios, in the bright yellow line. Fair enough, a small dip was registered, but nowhere near the levels of TVs or audio home systems, which really suffered in the short term. What this slide also shows is the more technical the audio product, the deeper the dip. And I'll explain this by saying that tuners and receivers are often sold more towards the independents channel. And as we know, lots of independents had to shut down during lockdown. So the reliance on those stores really hurt those two categories more than others. What have we learned recently? Well, if we sidestep into looking at smart audio and smart displays, a quick note that smart in this sense means multi-room audio and not just internet connected, then there are some really interesting trends emerging. Firstly, and particularly in value, smart audio is showing a hefty decline across Europe. But what is interesting is the new trend into smart displays, so multi-room audio products with an LED screen on them. You can see on the right-hand side just how well they did in GB over Q4 last year, in yellow, as well as quite a lot of activity in France. But what stands out to me is the resurgence of these smart displays at the beginning of lockdown in GB, a quite unexpected €4 million boost in April, for instance. Whilst this did coincide with some TV advertising here, it came as a bit of a surprise in just how that converted so well into sales at the tills. So just a word of warning for DAB, there's always some new competition around the corner. Next on the list to keep an eye on are AI speakers. So speakers with an AI either built in or running an AI from a linked device, usually controlled via your voice or an app. Sales of these devices across EU12 are still regularly generating over €300 million a quarter, so well over twice that of DAB products. And whilst those sales have slowed over the last year, they are still a force to be reckoned with, especially when you look at just how popular they are over Q4, where sales reached 539 million just for the quarter. This can't go on forever though, but sooner or later we'll hit the point of replacement rather than initial purchase. What has made the category really popular though is those Q4 deals, reflected in the average price bars at the bottom of the slide, where you can see that significant drop in Q4 as a number of larger brands do some heavy discounting, sometimes up to 50%. To conclude, I'll focus on another positive for DAB products. Here we are looking at the number of products available to purchase in a variety of tech categories. Essentially, this is the range of products a consumer has to choose from if they went into all the shops which stock the category. In yellow, which highlights the latest 12 months, the clear winner is headphones and headsets, which has a whopping 14,800 different models to choose from, and showing a significant jump in choice from the previous year. What I feel is a good story here is that Total DAB, sixth down on the list, offers consumers over 2,600 different products to choose from across Europe, again up from last year. If we look at those AI speakers from the previous slide, this is less than half the DAB figure, so has a much more limited range, although again showing growth for the last 2 years. So whilst they are popular, especially at Christmas time, they don't quite have the breadth of choice which DAB products do, yet. That's it from me. I hope you found this session informative and engaging, and given you an up-to-date flavour of what is happening in the DAB markets around Europe. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any further questions, and remember to stay safe.